we grew older, and then we found that there was not only the Holy Spirit living inside of us, we found out that you could be filled with the Holy Spirit. And I'm going to put it to you in a way that a lady put it, that I couldn't stand the lady. I thought she was from the pits of hell, and I just constantly she stuff. It was a lady called Catherine Kuhlman. And I thought, being from a Baptist Methodist background, this gal is a witch. I mean, she looked like one, she dressed like one, she acted like one, and scared me to no end. And I'm just fresh in some of the new things of God and what all's going on. I'm driving a big old charter Greyhound bus in 1969, 70, something like that. Picked up all these ladies, take them down into Riverside Raceway. There was a horse track in LA, and went down there, and then they liked me so much they requested me for a next trip. The next trip I went to the Shrine Auditorium. You ever heard of that? Shrine Auditorium? Los Angeles, California, where none other than Catherine Kuhlman was holding a meeting. I personally put a little boy on my bus that probably didn't weigh over 50, 60 pounds, soaking wet, crippled fingers. His wrist was like his baby finger. That's how little he was. He was all crippled up. Long story short, I sat right in the middle. I wasn't going to go in there, but the little ladies insisted. They drugged me in there. So I went in there, and I managed to see my second miracle. So I finally had to tell Brenda, finally had to tell my precious little mom, you know, I think there's more to Jesus than what we Baptists are experiencing. Something's going on. Long story short, Huntington Beach, California, on Warner and Graham Avenue. Graham, wasn't it? Billy Graham. Graham Avenue. Warner, there's a beautiful golf course there. No more now, big apartments. But there's where I was an associate pastor of a Southern Baptist church. And one Sunday night, the pastor says, I want George and Brenda to come up and pray for some married people. All of you people that's having marital problems, and the church was packed that night. And I've been going to Calvary Chapel with Chuck Smith, remember, during the week, and sometimes on Saturday nights, Friday nights. I come up, and Bud and Ellen come up for some prayer, and some other people came up, and all this come up. I got my back behind a podium. This doing remembrance of me. The table was right behind me. All of the good stuff and the stuff that laid out like that. And I started to pray in English in this Southern Baptist church for the married couple. All of a sudden, I got real hot. I got real heated. And I felt like something opened up in the skies, and I felt this extremely heat come all over me, and I started just going into some jabberish stuff that I've never dreamed possible. Could not dream it would be real or existed whatsoever. And all of a sudden in this Southern Baptist church, people are getting furious. And I'm going, I mean, it was incredible. I just flowed, and the Holy Spirit just came all over this little Baptist boy. The man behind the podium, his name was Earl Warsmith. He leans up on this podium, dyed-to-the-wool Southern Baptist guy. Tennessee Temple, Dr. Criswell, graduation, Waco, Texas, all the degrees you want. Tongues is of the devil. Tongues is not real. Those gifts were all done away with when the first apostles passed on. Well, that was what his preaching sermon was on a regular basis. He leaned over the table, and I did have long hair then. He leans over and he taps me on the head. He says, if this young preacher is speaking some kind of unknown tongues to us, it is of God. It is not of the devil. Because I know George Shafer, and I know this man's fruit in his life. And everybody's freaking out, and tell them, you take the story from there. And then I'm going to come back to Acts, and we're going to go on to some other stuff.
Well, they were all looking like, what's going on? And I'm looking at them like, what's going on too? Because I heard it all in English. I didn't know that he was speaking in tongues. He was just praying for the marriages. And
Did you hear what she's saying?
That's what I heard. So I couldn't understand why everybody was looking so funny at him or Earl. But it was because I heard it all in English.
She was the only woman, the only human in that whole building, and we had the building packed, that heard it in English. She got all of the interpretation of every word I spoke in unknown tongue. And that kind of gave me the left foot of fellowship, not from Earl, because he later on got spirit-filled. I ended up meeting a guy by the name of Demas Shakarian. He was the founder of the Full Gospel Businessmen Association, Costa Mesa as well. And that began our journey. And in those early days, after we got filled with the Spirit, things started changing. We remained in Baptist circles, and God began to move like everything. The book of Acts of chapter 4 began. They said they went house to house breaking bread. Now, if you want to break that down into the Greek, out of the Greek, into the Hebrew, and then let's look at, I didn't bring my Aramaic Bible. I could have brought my Aramaic Bible. I should have brought it, sorry. Here's what all the languages breaks down in saying. They went house to house, fellowshipping, physically eating, having supper with each other, sitting around just like we're doing tonight, and talking it up and having a great, good, glorious time, enjoying one another, and just really having a gay old time. Yes, a gay old time, a happy time, a wonderful time, a good time, a peaceful time, because they had been set free. We had been set free. It was like Pentecost all over again.